Hi, my name is Yechan Kim. I'm the founder and president of the Robinson Review, and today I'm here with a guest. I'm interviewing Jimin Lee from SelfFidence. She is the founder of SelfFidence, and SelfFidence is a youth organization that pursues to support youth and young children, young adults growing up, and to prepare them with their mental health and self-confidence. And first of all, I want to say thank you for being a part of this interview. I really admire your work at SelfFidence, and if you could just briefly introduce yourself, I would appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. My name is Jimin, and I am a high school senior right now from South Korea, and I'm basically attending an online high school in the U.S. I'm graduating this year, and I'm the founder and executive director here at SelfFidence, and I founded the organization back in fall 2020. Yeah. So very excited to be here.
Yeah. Um, so I just wanna today I just want to ask you some basic but quite deep questions. And I hope to have a really productive session today. And the first question I want to start with is the background behind Selfidence and how you came to start this organization. And I've seen the work you have done, especially regarding work for the youth and their mental health. So I want to know how you decided on establishing this organization and especially why you named it SelfFidence.
Mm. Yeah. So I'd say self-confidence, my journey of finding self-confidence really started a long time ago. And especially when I was entering high school. So before high school, I went to, I went to schools that were kind of continuing onto the next class. So when I was like in like seventh grade, I continued on to eighth grade with the same people that I know and everything like that. And I moved around a lot of different schools when I was young.
Mm,
My journey of starting self-defense basically started a while back when I was especially entering high school. And when I was entering high school, it was especially around COVID, which I think when was everyone was starting to basically think back again about mental health, and really trying to focus on yourself a little bit more because you were kind of isolated from everyone else and you had a lot of time with yourself. Um, and I have always been a kid who thought I was confident. Like I thought I had like confidence in myself. I thought I valued myself. But basically when I started middle school, or like when I transferred into another middle school, um, I was always like the person who like spoke up. I kind of like volunteered into like leadership positions or like did public speaking, but that really didn't mean that I was really valuing myself or who I am. And I really saw that when I was entering into in high school. And I basically my my journey of like choosing what high school I want to go in was basically an year-long journey. I started at the beginning of eighth grade. Where do I want to go to high school? Do I want to stay at the school? Do I want to transfer into another school? And I basically chose to attend an online high school.
mm,
And with like the year-long journey, I was like going back and forth and questioning myself. Oh my gosh, can I do this? Like, can I do what? And I guess during that year, I really started to see, wow, I really don't know myself, or I really don't trust in myself to do something that I really want.
mm,
Um, and that being said, I basically ended up choosing another school. And then that I thought was like socially acceptable. I guess
mm,
there were like a lot of big opportunities there. And I was like, and this is what everyone would like to go. Like, this is where I would see myself kind of being successful at. And then
yeah.
I went there and I transferred out after a week because I thought it wasn't worth it for me. Um, and after that, I chose to basically go to an online high school. And everything that combined, I was like, in order for like students to actually make choices for themselves and kind of choose to go to the journey that they really are passionate about or really want to do, they really got to believe in themselves. And self-confidence kind of, I think, is the basis of believing in yourself.
Mm,
And which is why I named it the organization SelfFidence, with self kind of capitalized, because I really want to emphasize the self and self-confidence. Confidence, I think, very much comes from validation from other people. And I basically had that kind of confidence when I was like in middle school or elementary school, when I thought I was confident enough. And through that journey, I realized that in order for students to really believe in themselves and kind of choose the life that they want to believing,
Mm.
I really wanted to emphasize that you got to believe in yourself for who you are, and it's okay with that. I guess that it's more in the definition of self-esteem than self-confidence. And I think especially nowadays, mental health is very much a crisis for a lot of people, especially teens with social media and technology, as well as like various other like social issues combined.
Mm.
And I have seen a lot of students, and especially students at my age, going through mental health crisis and like even having suicidal thoughts. And with all that combined, I think really comes down to the core of how do you value yourself and where do you get the values that you want.
Right.
And yeah, I guess that's like my whole ideal and my whole journey behind founding SelfFidence, and seeing that it is really important and imperative for us to think, how can we really find value in ourselves as who we are, from a very young age. And so the mission of mission of the organization is basically to support the confidence journey of young students. And the reason why I named it like confidence journey is because I think confidence, and especially mental health, isn't like a destination that you reach when you do something.
Right.
And even as a founder myself, I struggle with like self-confidence every single day. Like I wake up and sometimes I feel really confident, and sometimes I feel like, oh my gosh, this is not like what I want to be, or like this is not how I want to be feeling. And then at night I feel like, oh my gosh, I'm so confident and everything like that. So I think it's definitely a journey that you go through on a daily basis. And I think that it is really important for us to support the journey rather than like reaching something. So yeah, I guess that's like my long journey of founding SelfFidence and the mission behind it. Yeah.
Right. Okay. I think since you mentioned your own journey, especially during the pandemic, and I presume that many of the students and the viewers watching this are gonna, would have experienced the same thing. I'm gonna ask you, what kind of, motivation did you have, and how did that relate to really the struggles you faced during the pandemic, especially since you mentioned your own choices regarding your future path, especially before high school and choosing the high school you want to go to. And I want to ask you, what kind of motivations were there, and what kind of correlation between such, your own choices were there between, you founding this organization?
Well, I guess for the organization, I think during COVID, I think maybe this might have happened to a lot of people around the world. I got into, I would say, kind of self-care activities like journaling. And I think the beginning of COVID was especially the time where I felt like very inactive in every possible way I can think of.
Right. Yeah.
And I think especially because it was when everyone was going through a lot of changes, and it was like starting virtual school,
Mhm.
like doing Zoom school, and you not getting to do any school activities or anything like that, or just go out in general. I
Yeah.
think kind of took a toll on me. And I think that when I think during like the beginning of 2020 to like 2021, it
Mhm.
was like I think the peak of COVID-19 when we were experiencing so much changes. And that was when there was like a sofa on my room, like a yellow, like one person sofa. And I literally just sat there for like an like hour or two every single day, just like staring into the wall.
Yeah.
And I think
Suffer.
that was like
Yeah.
my kind of thing where I didn't want to do anything in my life, and I kind of didn't know what I want to do. And I just like sat there being so depressed and inactive that I literally like cried every day, I think, because I was feeling so bad about myself. And I think I was very anxious about the future with like the changes that everyone was feeling. Um, and I think that COVID also really exposed a lot of the underlying like social issues that we had in our society. And I think that was especially when like social media activism kind of roared up to the
Mm-hmm.
surface, when it kind of became the tool for young people to talk about the issues they're passionate about. And um and I think that those, like my mental health issues during COVID, and the rise of social media activism and like social media organizations kind of combined came to me starting SelfFidence.
Mm-hmm.
I as I mentioned, like I go to an online high school, and it is basically a school that there are like various types of online high schools, and my school is basically one that has zero friendship or like social interactions, because we're self-paced and like self-mastery learning, so we don't really get to meet anyone in school. And with that, all of my social connections or people that I meet, or like my friends came, like new friends I would say, came from the organizations that I worked for during COVID. And I literally entered into almost all youth organizations I could find on social media that had an issue that I was passionate about. And I basically joined and learned what these organizations are doing. And that really got me thinking, wow, this organization can do so much. They could like raise awareness, they could start conversations, they could do so much for the issues that I'm passionate about. And it was especially during the time that I was feeling like, I don't know what to do. I feel so inactive. And um, so I think that combined really got me thinking, what can I do for my own community? People who really want to find their own self-esteem, values in their self. And at the time, I don't think that I felt like I had the confidence to start it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, I'm just going to name it Confidence Journey and try to find it together as we go.
Right.
Yeah, so I kind of, but also I kind of started after like almost like 2-3 months of thinking and brainstorming of what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I started by starting like, posting content on social media. And that was like one post, which was about toxic productivity.
Mm-hmm.
And it was at that time an issue that was just getting started to like be talked about. And that post, I think, really got a lot of engagement, in that um, so many students experience that and go through that, but really don't know what they're going through. And the toxic productivity is kind of like the name coined for that. So I think through that post, I really got to thinking, this is like the solidarity that people can really have with talking about issues that students, as we go through on a daily basis, regarding our mental health and regarding our like values. So yeah, I think my mental health situation and the rise of like social media activism, I think really conveyed a lot into my motivations for starting SelfFidence. And yeah, those posts really got me going. I would say keep on like working on SelfFidence in the beginning.
Mm-hmm. And so you talked about social media, and I think many of your activities and many of the programs that you have, conducted in the past, to my knowledge, I think it includes fundraising and campaigns and, posts regarding the ones you mentioned on, informations about mental health and self-confidence. Um, and I want to know, since you made social media and specifically Instagram as a main platform that you use to conduct your activities, um, I wonder if you have any thoughts of expanding to other platforms, and your main motivation behind using this kind of social media platform in these changing times to, promote what you guys are doing and to, spread the knowledge that you're trying to spread.
Hmm. Yeah, I definitely it is a topic that we as an organization and our team has been basically thinking a lot about, especially because right now a lot of things are turning back to in person.
Mm.
And we have the potential to basically turn more into in-person projects. So it is true that we have been doing a lot of work online, especially through social media. And I think now we are basically trying to work more on in-person projects. So, or something that can be incorporated into schools like clubs or in-person like chapters.
Mhm.
And I would say that social media, we started as like a social media based or online based organization, I would say more clearly. And our main focus was to share more information, more, I would say, issues that needs to be talked about within students about mental health and self-confidence. And I think that right now we are focusing more on self-esteem and values that students should like find first helping students to basically find their values in themselves, and basically have that, I would say, conveyed more into the in-person projects that we're thinking of right now.
Right.
So yeah, I think that is basically our goal for 2020 2023. Basically, I would say working more something that can have more impact and create more community in person, and creating a more person face-to-face projects that we can have. But we are still trying to work on ways that we could use social media, I would say, more effectively.
Mhm.
That So we have been mostly doing posts, I would say, like informative posts and sometimes like reels. But we are planning to do more like IG lives, or even like doing like more interviews like this, or something like that that can actually share our journey and various other people's journey behind it, and create a more mindful space. Informative, but also I would say something that can be very relatable to people, something that can, I would say, help students feel like, oh, I relate to that, or I have
Right.
that experience before, and I'm not alone in this confidence journey, I would say. So that's like something that we're trying to work on. But yeah, we have been basically trying to, I would say, expand more into in-person, local, regional things as well.
Mm. Yeah, I think yeah, the Robinson Review I think started off, in a similar way, but we did a lot of activities online, but since we established our organization last year, I think we had, more opportunities to expose ourselves with, in-person journal writing sessions, workshops, and all that. Um, and I do believe social media, and especially Instagram these days, are, really effective tools that organizations use. But I want to ask you if you had any, worries or, apprehension towards using these kind of mediums. Since you mentioned how social medias affect, youth and adolescents, and especially their self-confidence. So I want to know how, you were able to, keep that in mind and be cautious about your approach.
Yes, I definitely agree. I am very like passionate about learning more on how like social media affects someone's mental health or self-confidence. And I think the main, I would say, a big issue that we experience using social media is comparison.
Mhm.
And I read this research a while ago that, there's like upward comparison and downward comparison, where upward comparison is kind of like you looking at this person and thinking that person's like better than me, or I feel bad because I look at this person.
Right.
And downward comparison is more like, oh, I feel like I'm better than that person. So
Yeah.
you kind of think that you should be feeling better because you're feeling like you're better than this person in some way.
Mhm.
And I think those comparisons really exist a lot on social media, especially because you're like looking at each other's like stories, like very personal insider things that you won't be looking at when you're just living life.
Yeah.
And I think with that, I read this research basically saying that upward comparison and downward comparison, although there's like a difference in level of how they kind of impact self-esteem or self-confidence, these still have negative effects on them.
Mhm.
And this was something that I would say was very shocking to me, because I thought like there are different types of comparisons, and downward comparison, most of the people think like, oh, you should be feeling better because you're feeling better than this person, but
Mhm.
that's not actually true if you look at it in like a research term. So that was like what got me thinking. And I think other than like comparison, there are various other issues that can have with, especially with like your well-being. And I think with that, yeah, I've been very much keeping this in mind as we use like social media as like our main platform. And that was why at the beginning we were trying to restrict it more as an informative one.
Mhm.
So like we'll be sharing like like example like toxic productivity, or we share something about like duck syndrome, or something like that that students can be experiencing, then they can learn more about them. But I think social media, there are, I think, very big contrasting goods and bads of social media.
Yeah.
And personally, what I see as like a really good thing about social media is that you can create a community and you
Mhm.
can meet people like-minded people, or create organizations, work through social issues like this. And I think it really created a new realm for a lot of people to learn more about issues.
Mhm.
And I would say raising awareness is a very big pros of social media. But on the other hand, it has very significant negatives like opinion polarity, or like misinformation,
Mhm.
as well as like various other issues associated with like social media. So I think it's really essential for us to keep the pros more up and going
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
keep the more, I would say, cons a little bit less. And we are really working to, I would say, work on like sharing accurate information and relatable information, so that when people are like seeing those posts and really reading those posts, they wouldn't be I like, reading and relating to the issues that are saying something else or can be misleading in some way.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think that was like number one for us, creating accurate information and something that um is not misleading and can help people more relatable and less alone in their issues.
Mhm.
But I think it's something that we really want to promote, really want to, I would say, consider thinking about. And I think this is a lot of issues that a lot of social media organizations or various other like social media accounts should be keeping in mind as well. Yeah, but I would say that also, um, that social media is a great platform if you want to like raise awareness.
Mhm.
But I think a lot of the times it kind of stops there. And something that we really want to do is like have that come into action.
Mhm.
And I think that's also the reason why we've been trying to focus more on like impact based like project
Mhm.
more, rather than just putting social media posts out there.
Mhm.
While like social media posts can be so amazing to reach information and help others like feel something, or like learn more about an issue, I think it takes more effort to have that go out of your phone, a lot of out of the technology, to more like tangible action and change. So yeah, I think that those like topics are things that we are still working towards. But yeah.
Mhm. Okay.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I think social media is definitely, there are so many pros and cons to social media, but I do feel that definitely our organization also had, really a lot of benefits and a lot of, good activities done through social media. But um so my question is, since you've started off as mostly based on social media, and you've started off as sharing informative stories, informative posts, was your original plan on this organization doing that, or was it more towards, so what was like your vision in the end goal of Selfidence? Because in terms of sharing informative stories, informative aspects, you've, I think, done tremendously with your current organization status. So I want to know how that transitioned into what you just mentioned, and having more collaborative projects in these changing times.
Mm. Yeah, so I would say my initial goal was basically this, like creating informative posts, and especially something that I really wanted to do was like help people share their journeys on confidence.
Hmm.
And that was like my main goal in the beginning. I really wanted to share the various journeys that people go through and their various backgrounds, and how they basically came to their journey like right now, or how they are basically going through. And I don't mean just like the people who I don't know, seem to be like the ones that should be interviewed, but also just like every single one of us. Like I think like me, for example, I'm going through some of the relatable issues that other students are feeling as well. And I
Hmm.
want to interview some of the members in our team, to basically share their journeys on confidence. Or I want to basically I would say just interview a lot of people from various backgrounds, so that they can have a space to talk about their journey and share relatable topics, and share how they basically their own strategies or their own tips on self-esteem and how they value themselves, and basically share the basically value that you are welcome in this community and you are welcome in this world, that it's okay to be who you are, I would say. And
Yep.
that was like my main goal, especially in the beginning.
Yep.
And yeah, so I wouldn't say I came to this like idea of like the vision for self-finance right now to basically do more in-person projects, or in-person, more tangible, impact-based ones right now, than when I started. So when I started was more, I wanted to do more social media work. I wanted to basically share more information and journeys out there that exists. So yeah, and that is still like one of our goals,
Mhm.
but we have been working through that for a long time. And I would say we're trying to transitioning on to a new phase, especially recently. I think last summer or last winter, I basically started to think we are putting a lot of content out there
Mhm.
and we are putting a lot of information out there and journeys out there, but are they really impacting people? Are they really helping students feel welcomed? So that really got me thinking, I want to do more work that can reach people who were not very interested to look into our social media, I would say. So and I think there's always kind of like an irony for like social media based organizations, that you start to raise awareness in this issue, or you start to basically promote this topic, but then a lot of people who look into those topics are the people who are interested to learn more about it.
Mhm.
And I think that really just got me thinking too. I want to basically help this for students who are not currently just thinking really deeply about this topic,
Yep.
but can unexpectedly help them in some way. And I think that is like my kind of idea behind, oh, I want to do more in-person work where students can feel welcomed more in person, and more I would say create more connections between people that cannot be, I would say, fully done like online or on Zoom.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, so I think that was like a development of ideas and goals that I had. But in the beginning was definitely more social media, online based journey sharing
Mhm.
organization vision. Yeah.
Looking back to the path you came, and since your organization has been established for I think more than 3 years, what are some memorable activities? And you mentioned a lot of them, and I've seen a lot of posts and a lot of activities being conducted in social media. But what would you say were some of the memorable moments you had? That felt like, oh, I'm really working on this, and I'm really going towards the right direction that I planned. What were they, and do they were they considered turning points for you, and um to the point of you trying to establish the position of a more movement based, tangible action based organization?
Hmm. Yeah, so I'd say there are mainly two that I had. And the first one is basically a project that we did called Giving Gratitude, or actually, no, get gratitude in your day in collaboration with an organization called Giving Gratitude.
Right.
And I basically goal around this project was we want to help people share gratitude to other people. And we want to create like a basically the bridge in between, to basically encourage people to
Mhm.
send a gratitude letter to the people that they want to send letters to. So we were basically receiving like just like a text-based letter that they want to send to someone, and creating a virtual gratitude card for them and sending it for them. So it would be kind of unexpected for the person who's receiving it too. So they would be just like receiving one day on their like Gmail inbox or something that there was like a person who sent a gratitude letter for them. So we did that last spring, I think. And it was really it had a really positive experience for me, because I was the one reading those gratitude letters and creating them as like a card. And I don't know, I think I really thought a lot about, and I also sent a lot of letters to my friends and like my family, my teachers and everything. But I really saw what like this project can do to basically help people share gratitude. And there was like one comment in a forum that like others like one of our, I'd say, audience
Mhm.
submitted was, they basically wrote in the comments, "Oh, thank you so much for this project. I never thought to like share gratitude to other people, but this really got me thinking about that." And
Mhm.
I basically submitted this form, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is so amazing!" I really want to do that, and seeing that project kind of like having one of our goals come into real life and getting feedback on that was really a big change for me. And I don't know, I think it just really made my journey like to work on self-finance a little bit more enthusiastic, and that our project can actually do something,
Mhm.
so I think that was one of the moments for me. And receiving like the replies from the people who we sent the gratitude letters to was also pretty nice, because
Yeah.
they were, "Oh, this is so amazing. Oh, thank you so much," something like that. So it was so nice, and I sent some letters to my like friends, family members, and they all was really happy to basically receive that. And something that's good about sharing gratitude is that when you share gratitude to other people, you feel amazing as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think that really made me happy. And the second one I would say was the fundraiser that we did. And it was basically an open mic fundraiser. And we basically did it to basically raise for the Ukraine refugees, and an organization that basically supports their well-being. So we did that, and it was kind of like a talent show, I would say.
Mhm.
And we received like submissions and like performer signups, and basically did it in like a Zoom fundraiser event. So we did that. And during that call, or like the meeting or event, we basically had various forms of talents like come in. So like there were like poetry reading, there was singing, there was dancing, there was like speech, public speaking and stuff like that. There were
Mhm.
various different forms of talents. And um, I would say the I think it really felt like a community then when we were all in that event. People who also signed up to join the event and fundraise was basically all in that event cheering for other people when
Yeah.
they were sharing their talents. And I think that really was a I think these moments were not, I would say, something that I was like so scared of, or it was really life changing for me, but it was more of the something that kind of made me smile and really made me feel positive about the things I'm doing with Selfidence. And I think these were all very like community building activities rather than informative. We did like other leadership conferences before as well, and that was also very amazing. And I think these like sharing journeys, kind of cheering people on, I think is one of the activities basically that can help other people with their self-esteem as well.
Mhm.
Because especially with the people that were I'd say like public speaking or doing speeches at the time, they were also hearing feedback like right on that like stage. "Oh,
Yeah.
this is so amazing. I really agree with this idea that you said." And one of the public speakers basically messaged me saying that it was like their first time actually public speaking, and it was a great opportunity for them. And it was what they got them into, basically public speaking and doing, sharing more ideas and sharing like their values more forward.
Yeah.
So that I think was really a positive experience for me, and something that really made me refocus back to what are we doing with self-evidence and what can we do to basically help people, help others develop their talents, also do develop this like habit of something like gratitude and so on. So I think, yeah, those were very big moments for me. And I think just continuing these moments, like I would say with the transition that from like online to in-person like projects and events,
Mhm.
these were all very very online. We're done all at a computer. And but I think the open mic event really, I think, was something that got me thinking about in-person events, because um it was practically like in-person talent show, but it was just online with videos.
Mhm.
And I always remember, especially in like high school when other people like do talent shows, or like in a festival they kind of go up there and do something.
Yeah.
I really love I love the like environment, like cheering people on, them feeling really good when they're sharing their talents and not feeling like discouraged or something that like feeling like they can't share their talents in some way. But I think that these events, I was like, if this was like in person, it would be so nice. And it would be like we'll be actually cheering each other on with like in person, and we can actually talk to them in person. You can build connections and like make friends as well, like if you want to. And yeah, I think these were really something that um I was like, this would be so good if it was done in person. Yeah, and I think just I would say this thought wasn't like something that really um, popped into my head one day, but I think it was something that I've been constantly thinking about, especially with like social media posts and social media events, and how it can kind of be performative or kind of end in that way. And I was like, how can we take this a little bit further, or how can we step out of this and more into, I would say, creating more impact and actually building a community. So yeah, I think those all combined really continued on to that thought.
Yeah, I think we've talked a lot about self-evidence and how, it came to the position it is today. And what kind of aspirations you had in the past, and the important moments for this organization. So as the last question before we end our interview, I want to ask you how self-evidence really affected you as an individual. And I think running a big organization that has tremendous influence in social media or any other offline and online locations and sites is a really hard thing, but it also comes with a lot of I would say merits and a lot of good memories. And I want to ask you how you grew as an individual through that process, and what kind of aspirations you have for the future as a leader of this organization.
Hmm. I think SelfFidence really had like a tremendous impact on me. And I started SelfFidence like 2024, like I mentioned. And basically that was when I literally like entered into in high school. And I it was almost at the time, almost like a week after I started in high school. And so it kind of continued on throughout high school for me.
Yeah.
And I think that self-evidence was my first ever leadership activity in every possible way. And there were a lot of difficulties, especially in the beginning. I also cried a lot. I had a lot of mental breakdowns. I don't know how to lead this organization. Or when I first like started interviewing people for our team, I was like, when I had to kind of say no to someone or something, like we have to kind of work in different ways, I was like, this is my first time ever doing this. How can I do this? And everything like that. So it was very much difficult time for me to basically learn how to be a leader sometimes and create a community within our team as well. But it really made me who I am, I think. It helped me think more about mental health, really stay informed, and also seek for, I think something that really, really helped me was that I'm never the person who kind of seeks for help when I'm going through something or share that to anyone, even my like friends. And I think that has been something that I've kind of been struggling with since like I think almost like ever since I was born. I never ever shared like my struggling stories to anyone in my entire life. And something that really I think developed me as a person was when I was going through something, I think last year, mental health wise. I basically shared it to like our team. There was like a rant page on our Discord, and we shared like some of our thoughts and something that we want to rant about there. And I basically sent a message there, and it was my first time ever doing that. And I don't know what I was really worried about, but I think I was very worried that, I might feel weak or I don't know. I thought I might like be something that is not like strong enough, or I think I really was into that stereotype that although like when I hear anyone sharing their stories, I never feel that way. I think I always like thought about what other people would think when I share those stories. But I think that was the first time I did that. And literally every message that I got was so heartwarming and really helped me at that time. So I think that was something that was really personal, but very impactful for me. And I think also it really helped me to grow as a leader. And literally every, I think, skill that I have right now, like from like graphic designing to like community building, like workshop leaderships, like organization, everything started with SelfFidence,
Yep.
and I kind of developed through that. So it had me, I would say, really um, like develop myself as a person, but
Mhm.
also I think um, a big thing also was that I started to reflect a lot. I think I was always the person who like went into the future, like this is what I should be doing, or this is what I should do
Yep.
later, and always thinking like, what can I do? What can I do for the future? But with running Selfidence, I really realized that without actually reflecting what you're going through, what you went through, and what journey you had as an organization, you cannot really set forth how you want to like go about in the future.
Right.
And yeah, so I learned how to like step back a little, like see how it all goes, and just kind of expand my sight in how I view things. So yeah, I think self-confidence really is like kind of like my baby. I really feel I kind of went and grew together with this organization, and it has helped tremendously with my self-esteem as well, with my mental health, as I always started to share with other people, learn, and connect. So yeah, I think it has had a tremendous impact. And as for the future, of SelfFidence, we have a lot of projects coming through, also including some of the interviews that we mentioned about. And we are basically working on republishing our website and updating a lot of things, as well as creating more resource for students regarding self-esteem and mental health. And we are currently planning more in-person exciting projects that can help students and help impact more I would say regionally, more locally as well. But we are also planning a lot of like social media infographics as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, very exciting things coming. So yeah, that's, I would say, some of our future plans.
Mm. All right. I think that's it for me, and my questions. I really enjoyed the conversation we had, and I really do wish the best for you and Selfidence. And also we have some other collaborative projects coming up, so um, I wish the best for them as well. And thank you again. And I think that's it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, thank you.